And we are finishing up A Nation in Distress. And wow, what happened? This is very lopsided. I don't know. William, did you use deodorant today? Or you can't even hear me. We need some more people on this side. The people on this side are the ones missing, isn't it? That's what happened. A Nation in Distress. Last week, though, even though we are a nation in distress, I talked about how everything is going to be all right, and it will. No matter what the end result is, everything's going to be all right. This week, we're going to talk about, and it's going to be a little heavy again, but the unholy sacrifice. Jonathan just read in Scripture about Cain and Abel, and they gave a sacrifice. And God accepted the one sacrifice, but He rejected the other. Now, they both went to worship God. And they both presented the best of what they had to God. Yet one was a holy sacrifice, and the other one was an unholy sacrifice. And God looked at Abel's, and God can see our heart. God can see our motivation. God can see why we do what we do. And God says to Cain, your sacrifice is not acceptable. It's unholy. And when I read through that, I think of our Christianity today and the things that we're willing to sacrifice to gain other things in this life, and it's unholy. And so if we want to talk about what's wrong with our nation, if you could read through the introduction there, God, I'm going to start here, our country is growing darker because our Christian light is dimming. American Christianity has sacrificed who they are to become who they want to be. I want to say that again. American Christianity has sacrificed who they are to become what they want to be. What do you mean? We are Christians, and we're to act and talk and dress like Christians. And we're to have a different worldview than a lot of other people. But instead, we're willing to sacrifice some of those things so we can be something else, something we're not. I remember when I was at Bible college and I wanted to fit in. I mean, it's a huge college, and I wanted to be popular too. Here I am from southern Indiana. And they called me a northerner because I went to the south. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I mean, I've been used to all my life being called a redneck. And I go to the south and all of a sudden I'm a northerner. And it's just grated with me. So what I tried to do was to fit in. I tried to change how I dress. Sound familiar in life? I wanted to change how I dressed so I could fit in. So I tried to dress like them. Now, this is the early 80s. So back then it was, you could wear a pink or yellow shirt, and you'd have like the alligator or the guy that's on the polo thing. I think it was actually called polo. And you'd wear that shirt, and then literally you would take a sweater and wrap it around your neck and walk around like that. They called them preppy, and that was in. And all the preppy people were popular, and everybody loved them, and it was so that's what I did. And one day, I put on a pink shirt. First time ever I ever wore a pink shirt. We'll never do it again. And I put on a pink shirt, and I think it had an alligator on it, because I made sure I got one, because that's what everybody was wearing. And I even did the sweater and tied it, and I walked around, and until chapel, chapel was over. Until then, I felt weird. It was odd. And I felt uncomfortable. Because you know why? I'm a redneck from Indiana. We don't wear this stuff. I was trying to be something I was not. And so many Christians try to act like, dress like, and talk like the world. They're uncomfortable. They're miserable. There's issues in their life. There's problems in their life. And you know why? Because they're trying to act like something they're not. You're not the world. You're not of the world. And you'll never be comfortable. You'll always feel odd when you start to act and dress like the world and talk like them and be like them. The Bible says that we are the light of the world. It says here, Paul warns us, we'll get there soon I think, Christians to learn from the example of Israel. And that's what we're supposed to do. Israel constantly wanted to be like other nations. Matter of fact, that's what they said to God and to Samuel. They went to Samuel and said, we want a king like everybody else has. We want to be like all the other nations. Eventually, God gave them their king, but with a warning. They're going to tax you to death. They're going to take your men and make them in an army. Warn them about they're going to lead you to sin. All these things. That's okay. We want to be like other nations. Israel is an example of Christians in the Old Testament. If you want to read how Christians act and struggle with God and struggle with life, look at it as Israel is a symbol of Christians. And Christians say the same thing. I want the same thing the world has. My neighbor has this. My neighbor gets to do that. I think Facebook hurts. I know about you, but I look at Facebook and everybody puts their best on there, don't they? And you look and like a friend of mine, I have 2 friends right now who are in Hawaii. I'm like, how do they get to go to Hawaii? I've never been to Hawaii. How do they get to go? I'm like, I want to go to Hawaii because I want to be like them. And it shows all the fun they're having and all. I'm like, I never get to have fun. Why don't I get to have fun? And that's how Christians start down that road. Something I want to become instead of who I am. Matthew chapter 5, let's read. And we'll start with verse 14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candlestick and put it under a bushel, under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. So we'll stop there. And God equates us to a light, a candle. And you take that candle and you have it. By the way, as soon as you become a Christian, you are a light. The question is not whether you're a light or not. You are. The question is, are you hiding it? Are you sacrificing that light? Are you stingy with it? Or are you on a candlestick? By the way, this is way out there. This is for free. Candlestick in Revelation represents the church. This movement by Christianity. I just had somebody that asked me again the other day. I asked a couple of pastors when I was at camp. I said, do you struggle with this question? Not struggle, but do you get this question a lot in your church or from people? I'm a Christian, but do I really need to go to church? Do I really need to be a part of church? Do you read your Bible? In order to properly let your light shine, you need to be on a candlestick. Candlestick is always representation of a church, a body of people. Most candlesticks back then have more than one. They'd have at least 2, 3, or 4 candles on them so you can light up very brightly. Most Christians want to sacrifice who they are, the light that we shine into the world, for other things, and that's hiding their light under a bushel. That's hiding their light of who they are. You know, I can't talk a lot about Christianity at work because I want to get a promotion, or I want to be this. I want to be popular. I want to be liked. All that stuff in high school, you struggle with it as a teenager. If you don't get a handle on that, seeps into your adult life, and you still want to be popular. You still want to be liked. You still want to be part of the gang. You're not. Oh, wow, that's rough. You're not. That's not who you are. The world does not understand spiritual things. The world doesn't understand that there are things that God expects from us and wants from us, and they're not like us. It's all right to be nice. It's all right to be friendly. It's all right to do your work, but always remember, you're the light where you are. How bright are you is the only question. How dim are you? I think Christians, they come with dimmer switches. And when they're at church, whoop, let's turn that up. And then Monday comes, let's turn that down. There's a popular song that I really love. It's by Casting Crowns. And one of the questions in that song is, what if the church on Sunday was the church on Monday? What if we were the same people on Sunday and then on Monday we're the same people? We're supposed to be. Just because you come through those doors and leave through those doors doesn't change anything of who you are. You're the light. And we hide it. We sacrifice our light to become what we want to be. Verse 16. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. So we're supposed to shine our light. We're supposed to shine that people see what we do. They see who we are, who we really are, and to glorify God. People put it in simpler terms. The world usually doesn't read this, do they? Usually they don't. Matter of fact, most people in the world reject it, want to repel from it. It's almost like a vampire with a cross. You ever seen that? You show a vampire with a cross and it's almost like that with the world. You show them a Bible, mention the Bible, and they're like, They don't want anything to do with it. And so you've heard it said, the only Bible some people ever get is you. Do they see God in you? Do they see the light? Jesus says, I'm the light. We go in 1 John, it says, He is in the light like we are in Him, and we are the light because we're in Him. So we reflect, we shine God's light into the world, and do people see God in you? Or do they see you in you? That's the question. One of the things that really got me going with this, and I don't know how far we'll get with the things, make sure you read them and all that. I'm going on a tantrum now, okay? Yeah, at least I admit it. I'm going on a little tantrum. One of the things that bother me, and we were discussing it, Kayla's talking about going to college, and we're talking about different colleges, and of course, Kay wants her to go to a Christian college. But there is something that's bothering me that's a trend in Christian colleges now. It's been going on for about 20 years. People were warned about it, and you can see it and see what has happened to colleges. Colleges now, Christian colleges, are no longer, a lot of them, requiring you to go to chapel. Oh, they still have it, but it's not a requirement. Seems like a small thing, doesn't it? But if you're a Christian college and you want to promote Christianity, shouldn't you be a light as a college and shine God's Word? Would you not want anyone who comes through those doors to know Bible and to know God and know Him well, as when they leave this college? Yeah, they're going to be a doctor, but you be a Christian doctor, and you know the Bible, and you know what it teaches, and you're going to live it and promote it. Or if you're going to be a plumber, I don't care. Whatever it is, whatever you were teaching, we're going to give you Bible too. And we're going to stir you up, and we're going to send you out as missionaries to the world. But because they want attendance to rise and gather in people, non-Christians, into their college, a Christian college, they get rid of chapel. Oh, we still have it, but you're not required to go. Now, you've been in college, some of you. If you're not required to do something, odds are you're going to not do it, are you? If it's optional, dude, I've got plenty on my plate. And they start teaching a casual Christianity. Matter of fact, what happens is that usually the first compromise, and they start, because that school wants to be something, they sacrifice who they are, Christian college, and after a while, and I can name some names, you don't even know it's a Christian college. For instance, Franklin College in Franklin, Indiana. Anybody here know that it's a Christian college? Yeah, I didn't think you did. Does it act like it? Does it promote it? Does it seem like it? No, because a long time ago, they decided to sacrifice their light, to hide it under a bushel, so they could attract more students, so they could be a vital college. They got what they wanted. They are what they wanted to be. But they sacrificed who they were. Baylor University, anybody knows that's a Christian college? There one time were voted in Texas the number one party college in Texas. That's a Baptist college, by the way. Same thing, 20 years ago they decided not to make chapel a requirement. You start dimming the light, things don't get brighter, they get what? Darker. And they sacrifice who they are for what they want to be. Oh, they're a big college now. And yeah, they're big in sports. And they're winning. But that's not who they're supposed to be, and that's not who they are. Liberty University. One time would have been a college I'd say, go to. Please go to it. I don't know about their chapel service, but this I do know. They have a rule. You're not allowed to drink on campus. Cool. But it's okay off campus. Not cool. So they can attract what? More students. Become a bigger college. Be more vital. Have more money. Be able to... And that's what they want to be. Someday, listen to me, someday you're not going to know that Liberty University is a Christian college. They're dimming their lights. We as Christians do the same thing. We'll sacrifice so many things in our life because we want to be this. And that's not who we are. We are a light. And light has no fellowship, the Bible says, with darkness. There is nothing comparable. There is nothing that we're the same about. Light and darkness is completely different. And that bothers us sometimes. Oh, I want to be accepted. I want people to like me. You can have all the people you want like you, and they all go to hell, What did that accomplish? That people liked you? We are a light. And our country is slowly getting darker because the light is dimming, and the light is us. We'll sacrifice our family, the Bible tells us. We'll sacrifice our family to be what we want to be. Jeremiah 32:35, and they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire unto Moloch, which I commanded them not, neither came it unto my mind that they should do this abomination, to cause Judah to sin. Here it is. The Israel began to build temples and altars to Moloch, which is it's the devil, by the way. Moloch is another name for the devil. To worship the devil. And what was the requirement? They would take their children and burn them as a sacrifice unto this god. And they would sacrifice their children so their crops, supposedly, would be better. So they could grow more crops, and so they would be richer. And they sacrificed their family, their children, to have what they want, to be what they want to be. Now, nobody here, I think, is going to build an altar and burn one of their children to another god. We're not going to do that. But a Christian may go out and have a secret abortion. It's happened. We're foolish if we don't believe that. And sacrifice their child because they want to be whatever they want to be. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to handle it. I don't want the shame. I don't want this. I don't want that. And so they'll sacrifice who they are, their child, their family, for something they want to be. Or maybe a woman or a man will break up their family. They'll leave their wife. They'll leave their children. So they can be whatever it is that they want to be. And destroy and break up and sacrifice their family because I want to be happy. I don't know how many times I've heard that. Why are you leaving? I'm not happy and I want to be happy. Show me. We're going to talk about this next month. Show me where your happiness is important in a marriage. In the Bible, show me that. It's not there. But you'll sacrifice your family so you can be happy. You don't care the misery and the pain and the anguish you put your children through. But it's okay. I'm a Christian, and now I'm happy because that's what I want to be. And you'll sacrifice. You'll hide your light completely under a bushel so I can be happy. Or I can do this. Or I can do that. Or I want to be with that person, not you. So I'll sacrifice everything, my whole family, for that. I'm talking to Christians. I'm not talking to the lost world. We expect that from them. Christians will sacrifice their family. Remember Lot? The Bible tells us that Lot was living in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? You know how he got in there? Well, first Abraham looks at him and says, we got to split up because your guys, it's the first cowboy fight, by the way. Your cattlemen are fighting with my cattlemen, so we need to split. And so they split up, and he chose the valley of Sodom and Gomorrah, and he lived outside the city. He was not a part of all that mess. Until one day, another king came and conquered Sodom and Gomorrah and took a lot of people captive. And as they came by, they took Lot and took his stuff and went. Abraham heard that Lot was captured among the people, went and rescued Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot, that's who he was rescuing, and for safety reasons, are you listening to me? For safety reasons, he sacrificed his family to live in the walls of Sodom and Gomorrah. Made sense, seemed reasonable. Did that turn out really well for his family? Read on in that story, it did not. And we'll sacrifice our family so we can be what it is we want to be. But that's not who we are. When the light grows dimmer in our lives, and you get enough Christians and Christianity where their light is dim, you have a darker nation. We'll sacrifice our heart. The Bible tells us in Matthew 6:21, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Matthew 12:35, a good man out of a good treasure of his heart bringeth forth good things. An evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things. We'll sacrifice our heart, the goodness that comes out of there, and we'll fill it with evilness. We'll fill it with wickedness. I'm talking to Christians now. And then that's all that's in there. We'll sacrifice our love for our neighbor, and we'll sacrifice our love for one another as Christians. We'll sacrifice that because I want what I want. And your light begins to dim. See it in churches a lot. People will do a lot to sacrifice what's in a church. They'll sacrifice other church members. They'll sacrifice sometimes even family members. They'll sacrifice them as long as they get what they want in that church and how that church runs and how important they are in that church. And they'll sacrifice everything, and all the evil and wickedness will come out of their heart because that's what they want to be, in control. Remember one time, a long time ago, so it wasn't very recent, a long time ago, I wasn't even pastor of this church, I was candidating. And a woman came up to me and she said, you do know I'm in control here. I run this place. And I looked at her and I said, you're only running about 30. When you have 300, I'd be impressed. But 30? Anybody could do that. Had another guy come to me. I was in Chicago. I was only there a week. Took me into the office and he says to me, he says, here you are nothing. You're nothing. Everything comes through me. Because he had a lot of money. Sacrifice your heart so you can have power, prestige. What it is that you want, you'll sacrifice your very heart. You sacrifice your dignity. Strength, Proverbs 31:25. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in the time to come. Strength and honor, strength and dignity is her clothing. Let's take it two ways. One, her actual clothing. Listen to me. I know people are going to get upset. I had somebody tell me one time, a girl came to me and she says, no preacher's going to tell me how to dress. I didn't tell you how to dress. All I ever say, and I still say it, you are to be modest. I'm not going to get into your family or tell you how to dress. I'm not going to tell you how you shouldn't wear this and you shouldn't wear that. Some of that's none of my business. But you know what? Do you bring dignity and honor to yourself and to God in the way you dress? You see so many people in the world dress and there's no dignity to how they dress. It's indecent how they dress. And then I see so many Christian girls and men dressed the same way. What? Well, I want to be like everybody else. I want to be accepted. That's what people wear nowadays. So what? You're a light, you're different, and you'll sacrifice your dignity. You'll become indecent because you want to be what you want to be. Oh, men too. They'll wear jeans 3 sizes too small, so everybody can see everything like everybody else. Or they'll wear the baggy pants. You don't see that around here, but in Chicago they'll wear that. They'll wear the baggy pants and you see their butt exposed. You'll see their underwear. I remember when I worked in a community center, the lady who ran it, and I love her. I'd love to have her down here, Mrs. Caldwell. She is a no-nonsense woman. I saw her take a gang member and put her finger in his face. I'm thinking, dude, he's going to shoot you right here. But she had a rule. Your pants up and your head's down, and it's written on a piece of paper. In other words, if you can't come in here humbly and decent, you're not welcome here. That's a community center. It's not a church. You come in dressed decent and with humility, and I can help you. If not, get out the door. Men can be indecent in the way they dress too. Dignity. We'll sacrifice it so we can be like the world. And your light just gets a little dimmer. People look for the light, by the way. They're looking for answers. They're not looking for the same thing. They already know what they're doing is not working. And so why would I come to you if you dress like me, you talk like me, you act like me? Why would I do that? Because you've got nothing different. We're the light. And we'll have an unholy sacrifice. We'll sacrifice our families. We'll sacrifice our heart. And we'll sacrifice our dignity. Our dignity. Some of that dignity and honor is how we act. Some people act foolish and immature as Christians. And they act just like the world, and there's no dignity to them. There is no honor. See, I'm really getting into it. I'm on a rant today. I don't like casual pastors. They come up stage with cut-off blue jeans, blue jeans with cuts in the knees, and flip-flops. I've seen it. And a t-shirt. Because they want to relate to everybody. They want to feel like I'm down on your level. Hey, we're cool. We're the same. No, you're not. You're a light. We don't take Christianity lightly. It's not a casual thing. Either you're light and you're shining and you're on a candlestick and people can see it and that you're different and you're not part of the darkness at all, or you're hiding it and you're dimming it. We are not the world. So why do we keep trying to act like them and be like them? They should want to be like us. I'll end it soon here. I got one more story. I remember, I think I've told this story. Maybe I haven't. One time, I never remember where I tell my stories. So if I tell them 4 or 5 times, and mark it off as that I'm old. Okay? But I was working at ISN and in the factory, and a guy came to me, and his son was in Riley Hospital, really bad sick, and he goes, "You're religious." See, the world doesn't understand. Yeah, I'm religious. He goes, "Can you pray for my son?" I said, "Yeah, I'll pray for your son." I said, "I'll do it right now. You want me to?" And we prayed right there, and then he left. When the guy behind me in another line came up to me, he goes, "What did he want?" He goes, "Well, he knows I'm a Christian, and he wanted me to pray for his son that's in Raleigh Hospital." He goes, "Why didn't he ask me? I'm a Christian." And I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. You know how things just come out of you. You are? He didn't talk like one. He would tell dirty jokes. He had cigarettes in his pocket. He didn't talk about God. He didn't. I generally did not know he was a Christian. How would the world know? And that moment, it's a good story in the end, he changed his life because that guy didn't know he was a Christian. Instead of cigarettes in his pocket, he had a little New Testament. He began to go back to church. It changed his life. It opened his eyes because he saw that his light was so dim that when somebody needed help, when somebody needed God, they didn't go to him. because he wasn't a light. He had hid it. And he had sacrificed so much in his life. The Bible tells us that our nation has hope. And there is hope. We're going to read through these verses, talk about one little thing, and then we'll be done. Ezekiel 22, verse 30. And I sought for a man. This is God speaking now. I sought for a man among them that should make up the hedge and stand in the gap before me for the land, that I should not destroy it. But I found none. See, there's hope for our nation when the righteous stand for righteousness. We stand for righteousness. We demand it. We proclaim it. We speak it. We want it. Jeremiah 5:1, run ye to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem, and see now, and know, and seek in the broad places thereof, if ye can find a man, one person, if there be any that execute judgment, that seeketh the truth, and I will pardon it. If you can find one righteous man who stands for righteousness, I will not judge Israel. How about our nation? If the righteous will stand for righteousness. Psalm 106, verse 23. Therefore he said that we would destroy them, that he would destroy them. Had not Moses, his chosen, stood before him in the breach to turn away his wrath, lest he should destroy them. One righteous man saved a whole nation. And he stood between it. Are you that righteous man? The Bible tells us a unique story. Yes, Michael, I'm stealing your thunder. And then we're done. The Bible tells us a story about Jesus twice. Twice. He went into the temple. And he would turn over the tables and whip them and chase them out of the temple. Money changers, people who had made the temple more about money, more about who they want to be instead of who they are. And they used religion and they used God for it. Jesus was the most righteous man there was. Tell me anywhere in the Bible he didn't stand for righteousness. He didn't demand righteousness. Nowhere. Even when he went into the temple. And yeah, he got angry. And yeah, he turned over tables. And yes, he threw them out physically and whipped them with whips. That sounds rough. That sounds hard. And all he's really asking us is to stand for it. Speak up about it. Live it. Be the light. He's not asking us to do that. Every once in a while, that would be good. Wouldn't it be cool if we could go into Congress and just start kicking doors down? Well, they tried that January 6th. I'm sorry. But anyhow, kicking down doors and chasing out people and saying, no, this nation will be a Christian nation again. That would be awesome. But that's not what he really is asking us to do. He's just asking us to live it. Be who you are. Quit trying to be something you're not. Or your light gets dim. Your church lights get dimmer. And your nation becomes darker. And I hold you accountable, Christians. And if I can't find one righteous man, then tell me why I don't judge this nation. You truly love your country? You truly want to see the judgment of God held back? Be a righteous person and try to live a righteous life. Let your light shine, whether all the other candles are hid or not. You be that light. You be that light. Are you that righteous man? Everybody